How you guys doing?
We're gonna wait for you all to come in for a minute. How are you doing? We are in San Antonio at my sister's, and when I tell you it's hot, it's hot.
But we're not outside.
Hi, Sylvia. Yeah, we're not outside. We couldn't do outside today. Hi, Leah. Let's see, Mills, Bellamy, Donna Davis.
Tan's joining us.
Deborah. Hi, Tan. This is our girl, Tan. She's a great influencer on luxury products and all that. And we're going to be talking to her about the do's and don'ts later in the month of what's the deal with luxury products. And as a matter of fact, I heard that Chanel in Beverly Hills was hit up this morning or yesterday. So we're going to talk to Tan.
We're out of town.
But we're going to talk to Tan about what's going on with people robbing all these Chanel stores and all this kind of stuff. She'll talk to us about that and just the wisdom of. She is one of the classiest ladies you'll ever see. So it's really incredible. Hi, D Maestro, and we've got Eric has just made his request.
So let me see. We got.
So
I think cool. Eric's trying to come in.
Yeah.
Welcome this
Jazzy Bits, we call our co-host. How are you doing, sir?
Yes. There he is.
Hey,
oh.
We've got our little puppy here. We're in San Antonio. Well, we're not, because we're staying in the house. It's 104 degrees.
It is
wow.
The car was not going to be fittable. And we have a co-host with us. My dad, who's 94 years old.
Oh, hi.
And you want to say hi, Dad?
Hi.
Hi. Good to see you finally.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm doing fine, thank you.
So,
wonderful.
We're all on today, and you guys, I'm so excited. This is a gentleman I've known for, this is going to be an exciting one. And it's incredible. First of all, I have to thank him. He is one of the reasons that I'm called Dr. Mac. He was very influential, Mac Latayad.
Okay.
My sister is Dr. Mac. She's a dentist. But I'm Dr. Latayad. And so he was very influential in that. And you know, Eric, a lot of times you think you know somebody. And when we asked you to come on, I realized, my goodness, this man made more accomplishments than I even had.
I just kind of like the surface, Mr. Chambers. That's
and you're actually Dr. Chambers yourself.
Right.
That's right.
Read a little bit of your bio, because you wear many hats, of course. You're an award-winning. Now, Eric, I did not know this. A 4-time Emmy and a 5-time Golden Mike Award winner.
Fantastic.
But I didn't know this. Of all the years we've known each other over a couple of decades, and you got some Emmys, and you've worked as an editor and producer for CBS News in Hollywood. And I have a little story to tell you about that we might have passed each other in the hallways. But you also launched, this is why I know you, a national TV show called Jaspel, you guys. And this show is so incredible. If you can get it online, you should listen to it because he melds jazz and gospel and history together in a way that's just seamless and has been doing that a while.
Great.
So we're going to talk about that. You're an author. We're going to talk to you about that as well. And we've got a surprise for you guys with Dr. Chambers that I didn't even realize that your surrogate grandmother was Emmett Till's mom. So we're going to get into all of that. And we've got my dad and Mac here and Lady.
Our official historian.
Yeah.
All right.
He was there. And so everybody, please welcome Dr. Eric Chambers, also known as Eric J.
There we go.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you guys. I'm honored to be here. Believe it or not, for some reason I felt a little bit nervous, and I've been on national TV and radio before, but I'm on Vicky Mac's show, and I just had these butterflies about 15 minutes ago.
this is nothing compared to the things you've done.
Oh,
I mean,
man, yeah.
you have been on. Well, why don't you tell us some of the shows you've been on?
Well, I was on Roland Martin's show. I've been on Sirius XM like 4 times with Karen Hunter and some of the other people there, and of course I've been on KTLA stations in New Orleans and other stations all over. You know, people seem to be New York, so people seem to be fascinated with my journey, and
Yeah,
but I'm not tired yet. So
I know, and I just thought, oh my goodness, I've known this man for a couple of decades,
yeah.
and I realized you had Emmys.
but and believe it or not, the Emmys, I've got 9 Emmys and Golden Mics. I won the first one in 1992 when I worked at KGTV in San Diego. The other 3 Emmys and all 5 Golden Mics I won at CBS. And to this day, I've had the first one since 92, and to this day, they're actually in my bedroom in a closet on the top shelf. I've never displayed them.
What?
I think my daughter's seen them once when we were on a photo shoot, and she's 20. You know, so I've never displayed them.
Well, you got a museum, so you.
Yeah, you took talking about.
Yeah.
I have a funny story for you. I was an intern in the, I think it was in the 90s or 80s at CBS News.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy named Victor Webb. Do you remember a Victor?
Yeah, I know Victor. I worked with Victor.
I was Victor's intern.
Really? Yeah, me and Victor worked together at CBS.
That's so cool. We saw each other at that time. Is he
Could be.
now, Victor?
I don't know. You know, I left CBS in 01, and I was there from 95 until 2001.
Okay.
And so I did like 6 years. But while I was there, Victor was there. We worked together. We worked the mornings together.
Is that crazy?
I know it.
So this
So it had to be was it the 70s?
Yeah, I think I was there in the 70s or something, or the 80s.
We're kind of dating ourselves.
Okay. Okay.
But oh my gosh, James, it's such a.
Yeah.
Why am I calling you James? I'm thinking. Oh, you know what? There's a James Chambers who does radio.
There is in Memphis. Yeah.
I have a friend named James Chambers.
Chambers too. Yeah, but Eric, and of course I know you very well. But Eric, tell us how you started in this journey of entertainment and all that.
Well, I'm originally from the city that cared for God, New Orleans, Louisiana, the home of Trinity 5-7, and of course, Virtue. You know, Virtue is my cousins.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Trotter sisters. Their dad, Louis Trotter, and my grandmother were cousins.
Wow.
And so I didn't learn about that until around 2000. But nevertheless, I'm from New Orleans by way of Slidell, Louisiana. And I have a picture of me when I was 11 years old, pretending then what I do now. It's a picture of me with my little makeshift microphone. I was in my little suit. My stripes were killing each other. But you could not tell me I was not a host and a reporter. And there were times when I would interview, if I couldn't interview people practicing, I would interview the cats and the dogs. And if they were not available, I would interview the tree leaves. You know,
I mean, we talk to a lot of different people, and some of that talent comes out real early. And so I'm not surprised to hear you say that. Let me say that.
Yes, kind of.
It does. It's a matter of cultivating it. And when parents see that their children have a specific talent, I think what they should do is encourage them in that talent instead of saying it's not possible. And I got the picture of me when I was 11 years old. But I got 2 years later, when I was 13, back in 1976, I got a job for the Slidell Daily Century News. In fact, June 22nd made 46 years ago. And the guy who hired me, Kevin Cherry, he now owns a newspaper there in the city. And he's still amazed at what has happened. But the fact that this guy is a white guy who believed me, you know, here I was, a 13-year-old kid who had the audacity to ask for a job. And I think Kevin was like, if he's got the audacity to ask for one, I've got the audacity to give him one.
It didn't work this day.
So what
you were covering sports.
Well, what happened is I used to get the New Orleans Times-Picayune newspaper, and I would take the stories about the New Orleans Jazz and the New Orleans Saints, and I would rewrite them, and I would include, instead of Pistol Pete Maravich and Truck Robinson, I would say my brother Lorenzo Chambers or Ernest Jones, my friend. I would substitute their names, and that's how I would practice. And so 2 years later, in fact, there was a guy named, his name was Peter Finney. He was a legendary New Orleans sports writer. And I met Peter back in 2010. He's deceased now, but I met him inside the Superdome in the New Orleans Saints dressing room because I was there covering their game. And because I've covered the NFL, covered the San Diego Chargers and the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
And so, but I got a picture with me and Peter, and I told him, I said, Peter, I used to take your articles and rewrite them, pretending, using his as the context of the story, and I would rewrite them, put other names in. And in 1976, I got a job making $3 an article covering Bantam League baseball.
Okay.
And so from that day until this day, I've been doing what I do, and people seem to be inspired by it. But I'm blessed that my career is also my hobby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can have both.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can do
Absolutely.
that.
Golly, and I, it's just an encouraging story. How
It's covered badge of baseball.
yeah, because you had this dream early on
That's amazing.
like that, and
Well, I was 13 years old covering kids who were like 8 and 9 years old playing baseball. And I still have some of the articles from back then. And but it was my way in, because initially the job that I applied for was for the junior high beat. And he hired somebody else to do the junior high sports. But he went ahead and assigned me to Bantam League baseball. And so I've gone from Bantam League baseball in my career all the way to covering Barack Obama in his run for the presidency.
Bantam age, what are the ages?
Bantam League, they're like 6 to 10 years old, something like that. And I was 13. So it's Little League baseball.
Basically,
Okay. Okay, well, gosh, that's incredible. I just didn't know all this stuff about you. So
Right.
exciting, but I really have always loved your show, which still comes on. And I want you to explain your show to people, because if you guys go online and listen on Sundays, you will be thrilled, because there's no other show like it in the country. Explain a little bit about your show, because I really do enjoy it.
Well, the show is, I'm honored that you even tune in. The show is called The Jaspel. If you like jazz and gospel, you'll love The Jaspel. And just a quick story, the way it came about, I was in San Diego. I was living in San Diego at the time. I'm in Orange County now. But I was at one of our church members. She had a birthday party, and she had some of the guys from the church band playing at the birthday party, but they were playing songs like Give Me a Clean Heart, Amazing Grace, without vocals. And that's when the Lord gave me the vision. I was like, man, it's jazz and it's gospel.
Okay.
And I said, that's Jaspel. And so what happened is I was working at KGTV and ABC at the time in San Diego. And I left KGTV in 1993, August 9th of 1993, started August 12th of 93 at KIFM, where I'm at now. And my radio show just turned 28 years old on July 10th. I just made 28 years of the Jaspel.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
But I ended up taking at the time was a $10,000 pay cut to go from TV to radio. I was only making $30,000 in radio and TV, but they said that if I came and become the news director, I was news and public affairs director. So I was just, the main caveat is, well, even beyond the news and public affairs director, was that they're going to let me do my Jaspel program.
Oh,
That's what I wanted to do. So I took a $10,000 pay cut to go to KIFM, where I'm at now.
Yeah, yes.
And then that turned into a $25,000. So I went from making $30,000 to $5,000 in about 11 months. But what happened is there's no greater thing outside of being my daughter's daddy that I love than being the host of the Jaspel radio show, because I get a chance to, look, for 28 years, Vicki and Claude, they haven't messed with me and I haven't messed with them. I'm my own program director. So if I want to play Vicki Mack's new single today, I don't care if she's on a record label or not. If I want to play Claude's new song today, I don't care. I can do that. And I've been able to do that. I've never had anyone over my shoulder to say, Eric, you can't play this, you can't play that.
Mhm.
And I play a lot of independent artists, a
You're
whole lot.
BDS also, Eric, right
Pardon
now?
me?
You're not BDS now, are you? One of the rating radio stations, or yeah?
No, not that I know of. You know,
Oh,
not that I know of. Like I said, I don't mess with them. They don't mess with me. I just do what I do.
yeah, but you know, you guys that don't know, Eric is the kind of person, if you're a brand new artist, um, he's the kind of person that you want to get to know, because he's the kind of, he can play what he wants to play. If he likes your music, he can play it. And it's a great way to get things moving, especially in the northern part of the US, in California. And so you want to, there aren't a lot of you guys left either. So when you can find people like Eric J, you want to get to know them, because as you're moving through and trying to learn about other stations, this is a great way to start. And we'll tell you how you can reach them a little bit later.
In fact, I see a couple of people who are watching, Lisa Bellamy and also Eric Lodge. Those are a couple of the independent artists that I've been playing. I just started playing Lisa in the last like 4 months. There's another artist named Zeal that
Okay.
I've been playing, and I love her music.
Okay.
I was introduced to her by Pam Broussard and Adrian Anderson, formerly of Trinity 5-7.
Yeah.
And she's got a song called Can't Give Up Now that I've fallen in love with. And I inboxed her the other day, and I said, if I had my vote, this would be a Grammy nominated song, because I love it that much. And not only do I play the song, but I play the music bed when I'm talking over or making announcements. That's how much I've fallen in love with that song. And so, but I'm an independent artist, I'm an advocate. And so it's kind of like in the book of Isaiah, where he said, who will go? And I said, send me, Lord, I'll go. I'll go for the independents. Look, I play Kirk Franklin sometimes. I play Yolanda Adams and Fred Hammond and those guys. But the gospel landscape is much wider. The net is much wider than that.
But you played him because you remember that was at my label, and he was an independent. And a lot of stations would not play Kirk Franklin when we started.
Right. In fact, I want to commend you all, because people don't know that you guys are legendary in what you do. And just even when it comes to doing the honorary doctorate for you in 2019, I was surprised that you didn't have it, because you two are two of the trailblazers, you know. And I don't know if you recall, but one time I came to your place when you were operating out of your garage back in the day, you know. And so, but that to see what you all did with Kirk, with Kurt Carr, with Trinity 5-7, Tremaine Hawkins, all these people that were on your labels over the years, it was because of your vision.
Well,
and
thank you. But the thing I want our audience to know is, these are the kind, a lot of people you ask, how do you get started? Actually, this would be a good place for Leon. His record play. We have my assistant. He's a great writer. Yes. He's a Christian. He does general music, kind of more like PJ. PJ
okay.
Kind of do but I think you would enjoy
more pop
him.
Leaning than urban.
Yeah, a little bit more, but he's the same kind of a thing. And so you're very instrumental and important that way. And you were one of the first stations that we always went to that would play our music. I mean, our artist names are huge now, but they started with people like Eric J.
In 1994, when I started, I remember going to the my first GMWA. It was in Atlanta, and my dear sister friend Gloria Tyler Mallory, Gloria. I don't know if you guys know Gloria, but Gloria showed me the ropes, and I remember we were in the car, so I'm new at this, and so Gloria literally took me under her wing, and I remember being in the car, me, Gloria, Tara Griggs McGee, and Albertina Walker. You know, wow. It was like I'm rolling in the car with Albertina Walker, you know, because Gloria was down in Nashville working at Benson at the time.
Right.
But she made sure she looked out for me, and I love Gloria for doing that. And as a result, I'm blessed that, like I said, over these years that I've had the staying power, and then I get a chance to play. Look, in addition to the gospel, and I think what a lot of people love about the show is you may hear some Mays featuring Frankie Beverly.
That's
You may
right.
hear some Sade. You may
Right.
hear some India Ari. You know, like on this Sunday show, I'm playing Mary J. Blige. You know, in fact, when I interviewed Frankie Beverly, Frankie told me, he said, that song, I Want to Thank You, he said, that's actually a gospel song.
Oh, okay.
Golden Time of Day, that's an inspirational song.
Yep.
And so sometimes people think because of the artist who's singing it that it's not, but if you listen to the lyrics,
Lyrics, yes.
then you'll be blessed by it. I know I have been. And so I play the stuff that, you know, I start off with more of the worship and more of the more spiritual, inspirational stuff. And then I kind of segue, because we're a smooth jazz station, you know, I segue usually in the last segment to playing more of the artists of that nature. But I started off so that you can get your worship on the first hour, the first half hour.
I love this show.
Thank you.
It's one of the few that I listen to, quite frankly, because in LA we don't have a lot of gospel. We have KGLH, which is great. That comes on a little bit later, but now so in the morning. What time do you come on? 9?
8. I'm on from 8 to 10.
Okay, yeah. I'm still not going to church regularly. I listen to it online, Facebook, and then we listen to TD Jakes. So, and Dad, do you listen a lot online to your church now, or?
Well, I haven't lately because I got offline and I haven't found out.
Get back on. Okay, we'll help you with that. But he gets online, he pays his bills online and stuff at 94, so I'm not
That's
mad.
awesome. He's not intimidated by technology. That's great.
No.
But one thing about the pandemic is it made a lot of people who used to be intimidated no longer intimidated, because that was the only way.
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right.
And so that's one of the great advantages of the pandemic, is that technologically we are light years ahead than where we were this time 2.5 years ago.
No, that's true. That's true. And my dad, you're paying bills online, right?
Yeah.
We're doing it. We got him set up. Yep.
Yeah, and I can do the email.
He does everything.
Awesome.
Yeah. So when
He
people tell
zooms.
me I'm too old, they're 50 and 60, you're gonna have to come again, because my daddy is on the is social networking and doing all of this. So, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time with a great story that I really just clicked with me what was happening. I want to talk a little bit about your surrogate grandmother,
Mrs. Mamie Till Mobley.
Yes, please enlighten me on that. I've seen you mention it sometimes, but I wasn't putting it all together. So tell me about.
Well, for those who are not familiar with her, she was the mother of Emmett Till. And on August 28th, 1955, Emmett Louis Till was murdered in Money, Mississippi for whistling at a white woman by the name of Carolyn Bryant, who's still alive now. But nevertheless, in 2000, I saw a play here in Hollywood called The State of Mississippi versus Emmett Till. And I saw the play, and I was fascinated by it. And Mrs. Mobley had come to Los Angeles to help promote it. I didn't get a chance to meet her that day. And so I go to the play on that Friday, and I was so just mesmerized by it. I asked the producer afterwards, I said, what would it take to bring it to San Diego? And he said, you. And I was like, that's it? And I was working at CBS, making really good money at the time. So I said, okay, let's do it. And so within about a week or two, we had a deal to take it on the road, because it was a local 99-seat play here in LA.
Oh,
but what happened is I took it on the road. In fact, I even rented a van to drive the casket down, to San Diego. We had it at ECC.
What do you mean down?
Because there was a casket in the play, the Emmett Till casket.
For the play, because I know the African American Museum in Washington, D.C.
Right. They have the original.
Yeah.
With him.
And I've seen it. Seen it. Yeah. No, Emmett. No, they what happened is they exhumed his body a few years ago, I think in 2005, and then they put him in a different casket. And that particular casket, the original one, is the one at the museum in DC. I've seen it.
Yeah. Okay. So he's not in that.
There's always
casket.
a line wrapped around.
Yeah, we were respects, but the line was too long.
But what happened is, after we made the deal to bring it to San Diego to ECC, Educational Cultural Complex, I called the producer, Spencer Scott, and I said, would you see if Mrs. Mobley would come as a special guest? And he called her, and she said it was okay for him to give me her phone number. And so from that day until the day she died, you know, we would talk, and like I said, she was a surrogate grandmother to me. And what happened was, yeah, here's a picture of me and her and my then wife Shauna.
Okay.
This is us in 2000.
Well,
And so what happened was, we would talk all the time, even after she came out, and I'd ask her, what would it take? And she said, just a donation to the Emmett Till Foundation. It cost me about $6,000, but you guys, that was the best $6,000 bloodbath I've ever taken. You know, because it crashed at the, you know, we had a nice crowd of people that came out, but I didn't make the money back, but I still was able to give her like a $500 donation. And then I just knew that down the road, first of all, I had to do this for history's sake. And I'm grateful that I was in the position to do it. And so I've already done one documentary. I got another one that I'm going to come out with hopefully within the next couple of months about our relationship from that weekend in San Diego. Yeah. And then also I have a book, because I have a whole bunch of pictures. I've decided to release sometime later this summer, early fall, a coffee table picture book about that weekend, you know, because these are pictures that most people have never seen. And I want them to be preserved for the ages, for long after she's gone and I'm gone, that we'll have this there. And I tell you all, it was one of the most amazing events of my life. And I remember being at the hotel with her as she went to church with me, to St. Stephen's Cathedral Church of God in Christ in San Diego. My pastor, Bishop McKinney, which I have pictures of her and him there, including him praying for her. But she told me, Vicki, that there were times in Chicago when she was dressed, ready to go to church, and the ride never showed up all day long. And so she was happy to go to church. So she was like a forgotten soldier in Chicago. But yet when she died, at her funeral, there was more than, it ran for about 5 hours, you know, because everybody and their mama wanted to speak. And but when she was alive, she said that, she told me, she said that, you know, there were times I sat there dressed, waiting for a ride that never showed up. And so we're in the hotel about to leave. I'm giving her a big hug and saying, Mrs. Mobley, thank you so much for coming out. And she said, she called me Mr. Chambers. She said, Mr. Chambers, she said, I needed to be here more than you needed me here. You know, and I was just, you know, floored by that. And we just had the greatest relationship. And the day she died, I was supposed to call her that evening, and she died that afternoon, about her coming back to visit me for a second time. And to be able to speak at her funeral was just one of the amazing highlights of my life, you know, because I didn't expect to do it. And I'm there at the funeral upstairs with the rest of the media shooting. And Reverend Jesse Jackson asks, is Eric Chambers here? And I have it on video. Wow. And it's going to be on the thing. And so I was like, yes, I am. So I go down, I take my press pass off, and then I'm speaking. And I'm trying to articulate that I have video of her and my wife at the time, Shauna. I was talking to Ms. Mobley one day, and so I gave Shauna the phone, and Mrs. Mobley was giving her some motherly advice based on her motherly experience with Emmett, and I still have that video. Great. And so so like I said, we would call each other and talk to each other for an hour, 2 hours at a time, and I actually wept at the funeral because I really genuinely loved her, and I just got overwhelmed. And I had a couple of little old ladies come up to me afterwards saying, baby, you were the only one here that seemed genuine. I was the only one that wept, but I love the relationship that we had. And I thank God for putting me in the position so that I could bring her out. Because there was a lot of people, when she did come to San Diego, that thought she had already died long before she died. And one of the highlights was this. We were at ECC, the Educational Cultural Complex. And so where the play was, you had to come up on the mezzanine deck. And so when my buddy told me that they had went and picked her up from the hotel, he called me and said, we're here. And what I did is I gathered everybody around the elevator. Oh. And so when the elevator door opened, it gives me chills as I think about it. She was a one-woman parade. So as she was wheeled in that wheelchair, people were giving her a standing ovation, and it just was amazing. And I
Wow.
got pictures of that. And so that is one of the highlights, even more than the Emmys and Golden Mikes combined, to be able to be there and to have the relationship with this person who was such an icon in our history.
Yes.
And even though she's been gone for 19 years, the story still lives.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. But I wanted to have my father speak on when he first, how they learned about Emmett Till. So there's so many things we take for granted now with social media and everything. So Dad, speak to us a little bit about how you guys learned about Emmett Till's passing.
Well, at that time, there was the Black magazine, Ebony magazine, and Ebony magazine's shoot-off was Jet.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the Jet magazine, they had the picture in the casket of Emmett Till, and Emmett Till's mother wanted an open casket. And people were saying, why do you want an open casket? The body is so bad that you shouldn't let people see it. But she said, so often things like this happen, and the Southern white people down there say, no, it didn't happen. It wasn't this bad, and this kind of stuff. So she said she wanted people to see how bad it actually was.
Wow.
Yep, she said, let the whole world see, and that's what she did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You know the story better than I do. So
No, you probably know it more better than I do too. I've learned a lot, and like I said, I've got on my computer here, I've actually got I've got interviews with her on audio, on video, and also a lot of pictures. And Vicki, I even have her saying, "Hi, this is Mamie Till Mobley. You're listening to the Jasper with Eric J."
I've heard it.
You heard? Okay. And so that's one of my treasured drops that I have. And I'm like, Lord, thank you for the foresight to do that, so that I can, as long as I got my show, she will be on there for the ages.
What fascinated me, James, when I was talking to my dad is we're going to get into a current story that everybody's hearing about. But back then, the only way they knew about the death and what was happening was through Jet and Ebony magazine. There was no other way for them.
No internet.
It wasn't covered on the news, on the regular news. They learned it through Jet magazine and Ebony, and that blew my mind. But
that was the power of the Black press, especially back then.
Yes.
Though, look, I grew up a huge fan of Ebony and Jet, especially Jet, and of course, remember the Flag Brothers? Those magazines used to come out with the Superfly outfits. Yeah, I was saving up to get me a cape. I never got it, but they had those ads in those magazines like that. But they were vital.
Yeah, I mean, you learn things about what was going on around. That's how you learned what was going on and what the culture and everything was about. And that's how my father found out about the deaths. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known of Emmett Till. But now, this week, we have a story about kids going to the Sesame Street Park and being shunned and
The black kids
turned away, the little black kids. And one of the, I don't know what you call them, Muppets, or whatever they are.
Yeah, who played Rosita?
Took his stomach and pushed the little girl, knocked the little girl over. What do you think about all that going on? I'm sure you're familiar with the story.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, and I saw when their other two little girls were trying to get a high five, and the person in that costume just, glossed right over them like they weren't there.
Yeah, we showed this today.
Okay, well, it's to show you that we still have a long way to go in America, and Emmett Till was considered the sacrificial lamb of the modern civil rights movement. We've made a significant headway along the way, but again, we still have a long way to go because, racism, especially this slow roasted racism that has been simmering for years in the hearts and lives and families of people, that's the stuff that needs to be eradicated.
Yeah.
And then once they finally learn the truth of the matter my thing is this: I don't know why racists are upset or dislike black and brown people. Their problem is not with us. Their problem is with the God who made us. It's never been with us. How is it that the same God can make a beautiful, vast array of flowers, a vast array of cats and dogs and fish, but yet he can't make a vast array of people? You've got to be kidding me. Why do you want to limit God for him to be able to make just one color of people? And the original man, we are the original man. And if you don't believe me, look up Dr. Louis Leakey and some of the other white anthropologists who have proven that the original man came from Africa.
Yep. I mean, it's something, but we have a listener, LaCora Stevens, who said, push the baby in the stomach. And you actually see on one of the videos where the big, huge puppet just went boom like that, and she fell on the ground.
Okay,
I missed that one. I just saw the one.
Come out today.
Now they came out.
It's just heartbreaking.
No, they came out. Did they come out with some sort of statement that there was a statement of apology, but saying that that's not the normal?
Yeah, and I don't think Sesame Street per se. They started Sesame Street to educate young black and brown kids in preschool. That's what it was for, to help them be up to speed. That's what it was all about. But some of their employees, they need to check, because it's more than one that was doing that. But the one with that guy punching that guy with his stomach into the little girl,
that's ridiculous. And so, but it's a reflection of who people are.
Yes.
Like you said, and on top of that, we all know that Sesame Street would not condone that. So they hire people to be in these costumes. And so, but when they do that, they have to understand that, look, if you're going to make us look bad, we're going to make you look bad by taking you to court or something. You got to have, some kind of accountability here, because, we can't afford to take that kind of a hit financially, brand wise, none of that, when this is not who we are.
Exactly. And I really don't think it was Sesame Street, but it's
definitely
some of these employees were out of their mind. It looked like I don't know. I'm not going to even say. You guys look it up yourselves and come up with your conclusions. But it was hard.
But those whoever was in those costumes were doing it purposefully. So it wasn't.
It was. You should see it today. It's
so
weird.
It's documented. They should do something about it. There should be some consequences, and then they should bring, if they have to hire somebody new, but they need to, those particular folks need to suffer some sort of consequence for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be tolerated.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm gonna get messy for a minute. I like to get messy. You have been in Orange County now, and you're a sports reporter too. But who are you rooting for? Now, I mean, the Rams just won, but are you still for the Chargers?
Whose stadium is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm first and foremost, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, so that's the DNA.
Okay. Who that?
Yeah, who that saying they're gonna beat them Saints?
Yeah.
And so, and then number two, I'm a Charger fan.
Okay.
Because I've covered both of them. The Rams, I've never been a Ram fan, but when they won the championship, I went ahead to their parade. I live here, so I went ahead to their parade. And but for the most part, when it comes to the NFL, I'm a Laker fan. I'm not a Clipper fan. I used to be a Clipper fan when they were in San Diego.
Okay.
But when they moved up here, I became more of a Laker fan, which I am, no contest. Okay. And then also, like I said, I'm a Saints fan.
I'm a Warrior fan.
Okay. No, I used to be a Warrior fan growing up, back in the days of like Rick Barry when they won back in 1975. They were one of my first favorite sports teams.
Yeah, Rick Barry and
Al Addos back in the day.
That's right. Will
Will
Chamberlain played
Chamberlain
for
was
the
playing
Warriors.
back
That's
then
right.
with the Warriors.
Yep.
Memory.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
well, okay. I guess I'll give you a pass on.
So we play at the same house, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a Rams house.
but I think it's the Rams' house right now. But
Yeah, it is.
You got to win it
if
back.
the Chargers want to get in there and do it, but I gotta say, as a California person and being born and raised in San Francisco, San Mateo, actually, I don't think they give Steph Curry the respect that he should be getting for being such a great player. What do you think?
You're right. You know, he doesn't get the respect that he's due. You know, he's a superstar player, not only just on the basketball court, but just as a man and a family person.
Yes.
I agree.
You know, that's what I love that. Same with LeBron. I love the fact that LeBron is such a family man and that he is an advocate for us, even more than the basketball.
That's
And
right.
you have so many people who hate on LeBron just because it began when he went to Miami in 2010.
Yeah.
I was a LeBron hater.
I don't think he did that correctly.
I was a hater.
I don't think he
But this is the thing, you know, as a citizen in this country, you know, you go with the highest bid if that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know, look, I took a pay cut. Everybody's not going to take a pay cut. And then on top of that, you got everybody who, you know, he was young in his career. He wanted to experience something, you know, that was his after 4 years in Cleveland. I didn't have a problem with everywhere LeBron has gone. I've been a LeBron fan.
Well, I'm appreciating him now for sure. But I just think I remember Magic left and went to Miami, did he?
Magic?
No, that was Shaq.
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 Shaq. He wrote us all a letter in the newspaper and said sorry he was going. And I felt like he wrote it personally to me. And so I was okay with Shaq, right?
But understand this. The fans, because I have covered it professionally,
yeah.
I know I can separate the fandom from the professionalism.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how that happened. When I was working in San Diego covering the Chargers, I did that for 5 years for KIFM as a news director. And then I did it for 2 years for KNX 1070 here in LA.
7, okay.
I would do post-game shows. But I remember when the Chargers had gone to Pittsburgh. They were in San Diego at the time. And I remember asking, they had gotten beat like 43-10. And I asked our sports photographer who was travel with him, and I was like, Jeff, what is their, you know, how are they on the plane coming back after getting smoked like that? He said, having pillow fights. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me it's ruining my whole week and they're having pillow fights coming back?
Okay, yeah.
And so ever since that conversation back in the 90s, I looked at it totally different because it's a job for those guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also understand this, when a player leaves, people have a fit. But what happens when you get traded and you want to stay in LA?
Right. You still got
That, you know, do the fans get upset at the general manager or the owner then? No. So there must be reciprocity there. And so when a player leaves, even with how much they get paid and all that stuff used to bother me, but not anymore. It was like, man, get all you can all you get.
Yeah.
Because this is a business. For me, it's for the fans, it's a sport.
Yeah.
But I'm not the one who has to go and train all year round and do the things that they do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
My dad.
Well, I just wanted to say that I love Charles Barkley. And Charles Barkley has got on the fans, the Warrior fans, telling them the Warriors can't win this, the Warriors can't win the game. And Barkley now is being loved by the fans that he's told,
We told him to shut up.
shut up. But I love Charles Barkley. So I just wanted to say it's all a game. It's all a game.
It is. Well, there's, again, what the fans have to remember is it is a profession for those players, whether it be football, basketball, whatever the case.
What? Please no, Charles. Somebody's not agreeing with you on Charles Barkley.
That's my friend Lacora. She's like, not Charles. I like Charles Barkley. Yeah, he says some stuff that's kind of like off the wall, but it's entertaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was part of the agreement is that there's no restrictions on how they do their show. They can say what they want to say, do what they want to do, and that's good. And I know Shaq. I remember when Shaq first came on there. He didn't understand the program.
Yeah, he was very sensitive.
Very sensitive, but he
And
finally
those guys
got the
didn't
flow.
care either.
Yep.
Got the flow. But so now it works. It still works. But
Well,
yeah.
I'm curious. I'm going back a little bit. I'm wondering, did Miss Mobley, Emmett Till's mother, ever tell you about how she felt about her son's death and the fact that she had to relive it vividly her whole life? Did she ever talk to you about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I have an interview with her about that very thing, because there are people who would not come to the play, The State of Mississippi versus Emmett Till, because they said it was too painful to watch. And I asked her, I said, Ms. Mobley, what do you say to the people who, and she co-wrote the play. I said, what do you, and then on top of that, watched it 3 times, Saturday, matinee, Friday night, the premiere, a matinee on Saturday, and the final performance Saturday evening. And I asked, what do you say to the people who say that this is too painful to watch? And she said, watching the play is totally different from living the nightmare. And so, I thank God for her courageousness, for her fortitude to have Emmett's mutilated body shown on, for the ages through that Jet magazine. But that is what galvanized people all over the country. And that is the thing that, because you're going to always have the deniers and people who say that it didn't happen and this and that. But they even tried to claim that it wasn't her son, but he had a ring on. That ring was from his dad, Louis Till. And he took that ring with him too. That was the real way that they were able to identify him, because he was so mutilated. But he had his dad, Louis Till's ring on. And we talked about, her dad. We talked about one of the most fascinating stories she told me was that when there's a television station in Chicago that had her to come on as a special guest to discuss if she was going to go to Mississippi for the trial. And she said that she got so much hate mail from racists. The reason why is the television station preempted I Love Lucy. And as she told me, I Love Lucy television, she said, was relatively new. And certainly I Love Lucy. And she said because they interrupted I Love Lucy to bring her on for this special report, she got so much hate mail and saying that your son got just what he deserved because they wanted to watch I Love Lucy. And she was like, isn't that something, And so, the pain, that she endured, and understand this, you guys, Emmett was her only child and she was her mom's only child. So when they killed Emmett, they killed off the bloodline from that standpoint. And so, but I did tell her that as long as I have breath, I will continue to tell the story, and that's one of the reasons why I interviewed her on audio, on video, still pictures, all of that stuff.
Wow. Well, you hired this week. I mean, because we both love hot topics in the news. It's a controversial subject, but there are deniers trying to say that 10-year-old girl this week that she did not have an abortion. They wouldn't give her an abortion in Kentucky, I guess. So she had to go all the way to Indiana from a rape, a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many people that denied it. And when President Biden talked about it, they said he was lying. So
and then when they arrested a suspect, then they had to backtrack.
Some of them didn't backtrack.
Some of them did.
Right.
So it's a crazy thing how people deny subjects. But changing again subjects, I want to talk about your books, and you're author of a really great series of books. Tell us a little bit about that. I haven't had a chance to get into those books, Eric. I need to do that.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of books out so far. Let me grab them just a quick second here.
Okay, we'll do that. And by the way, you guys, while he's out, Claude, why don't you give an update on your sister?
Oh, he's back.
And as you see behind me is my my wall of fame. There's a picture of my mother, and there's Sister Rosa Parks with me. And in fact, I'll get a little closer here. So those are some of the people that I'm reminded of: Reverend Jesse Jackson, Don Cornelius. You know, to get a chance to interview him, one of my heroes. And then on the other side, we got Shaq, Destiny's Child, Taraji, Eddie Murphy, Morgan Freeman, Yolanda Adams. So to be able to live the dream that I dreamed about as a child, and to be able to have that as evidence, you know, that is a constant reminder to me that you did good, son, coming up from where I came from. Slidell, Louisiana. But these are the two books here.
Okay.
Mama, I Want to Know You, and Daddy, I Want to Know You. And that's my daughter, Erica, when she was 4. She's at USC now. And then Erica took this picture here. But what these are journals. They're journals where you ask, they prompt questions for people to interview their loved ones, their mothers, their fathers, or their mother or father. They can answer the questions beginning with, when were you born? Who were your parents, grandparents? Who was your first crush? We got relational stuff.
Okay.
We also have stuff such as the hypotheticals, like if you could have a concert in your backyard and invite any artist, who would it be?
My mother's actually done that. She's
wonderful.
But she couldn't find it.
But she's tried.
Yep, and then I got other questions here, you know, asking what's the best part about being a mom or dad. I asked to describe your childhood, your dream date, and then I even ended with, you know, stuff such as your legacy. You know, how do you want to be remembered? And also, do you have insurance? And if you do, where are the papers and who is it with? Because a lot of times when people die, they have insurance, but nobody knows where it's buried at.
Right.
You know, and so, and I ask, you know, various other questions. So we have like my friend Dawn Lewis, remember Dawn from A Different World?
Absolutely.
She, Nettie from The Color Purple, Sally Ann Roberts out of New Orleans. She's Robin Roberts' sister, and Karen Hunter from Sirius XM. And then also one thing that I did that's a bit unique is the fact that I have had people to write a special tribute, like for the moms. I called it an anthology of motherly love and an anthology of fatherly love. And so what I did is I had people to write a tribute to their mother. Like Akuswa wrote a couple for her mom, and she was the first lady of Ghana. Right. And so and Dawn wrote something for her mom and various other people. And then also like Jesse Jackson Jr. and Ernest Harden Jr., they wrote in this one. And then I have one other one that I'm finishing up called Honey, I Want to Know You. And this is going to be for couples. And so there may be some questions that you guys never asked each other all these years, including some of your, you know, some of the traumas of your childhood. Yes. And, you know, so that people will learn, okay, this is what makes you you, you know, and you don't have to answer all the questions. And I've been encouraging people, in addition to writing in the book, because, you know, I have lined paper in here, you know, it's lined for you to fill it out. But in addition, I would set up a camera like we're doing now. And that way, not only do you have it for print, but you have it for audio, video for the ages. Right. And what really inspired it was I was at my mother and I went to a cousin's funeral in Mississippi in 2017. The cousin had lived 104 years at the time. And so what happened is she had, her obit was only about 4 paragraphs. The first one was about who she was, her 2 kids, grandkids. And then the other 3 was just kind of like flowery words. And I was like, man, this is going to be the only thing that most people are going to have. Just like with my great grandfather, he died, he was born in 1890, died in 1979. I have his obit, and it's about 4 or 5 paragraphs, and probably 2 paragraphs about him and my great grandmother and their 18 kids that they had and grandkids. But there was nothing in there about the you know, the business that he had as an unlearned man, as a you know, a timber business. There was nothing in my great grandmother's obit about her being an unlearned woman, but yet she traveled all over Mississippi as a midwife. And so, and like in the case with the cousins whose funeral we were at, Laura, you know, she was born in 1912. She was a year old when Harriet Tubman died. So their lifespans intersected. The same year, 1912, the Titanic went down, and she was about 17 when the Great Depression hit. So what I try to do, because some of the questions that I ask are what are some of the significant events that happened the year you were born, and some of the significant events that happened during your lifetime. For all of us, this pandemic. We hadn't had a pandemic since 1918.
Yeah.
Depression started in
So this is one of the significant events.
My dad was alive with the Depression. Yeah.
Yep.
I was born in 1927, so I was, as a kid in the 30s, going to elementary school. We have a very rich section called Hillsborough.
Yeah.
And those Hillsborough kids went to the same school that I went to. And there were times when the teacher would say, after school, go into the auditorium. And certain kids, they picked to go in the auditorium. And teachers would take us around in a circle. And they would be like sweaters and tennis shoes and that kind of stuff that those people from Hillsborough had donated for us people who were having a bad time in the 30s.
Wow.
Wow.
Isn't it great to be able to hear it right from, I ask him a lot of times, Daddy, so that book is going to be good because he's got so many stories, and we call him Forrest Gump. He's always gets around famous people, and it's kind of crazy. But we're getting ready to close, but I can't close before I ask you a couple of other questions. Yeah. Did you want to ask him something?
No, I won't bring this up.
Okay. I was going to ask, what is your favorite fragrance? What fragrance do you wear? You can't leave without asking about that.
My favorite is, I'm a Calvin Klein kind of guy. That's what it's not so much that I'm a, that's what I have is Calvin Klein. And then I also have, I think it's called Black.
Oh, yeah.
But they were gifts, and I didn't choose them. They chose me as gifts, and as a result, I ended up, just sticking with them. And so that's what the deal is with those.
Wow.
And I just posted my website if people want the book, whodatpublishinghouse.com.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's at Who Dat Publishing
House, whodatpublishinghouse.com is where they can order.
On at Amazon.
It's through Amazon.
Oh, great. So we can go right to, and so what do we put in?
If you go to whodatpublishinghouse.com, there's a link for both of the two books that are available now. Honey, Mama and Daddy, I Want to Know You. Honey, I'm finishing that up, and it should be out by the end of the month. Because I've done Mama in May, Daddy in June, Honey in July. And then I got about 7 more books I'm planning to come out with between now and Christmas.
Okay, because those books are really important. We're working on stuff now online for our family, and my dad's going to be around for a lot more years, I'm sure. We're waiting for him to make it to at least 100.
Everything.
But we're documenting
the same questions you were asking.
Awesome.
All this information.
But what the books are, they're prompt questions. There you have a lot on your own, and then there's some questions in here that will inspire you to even farther, further to ask.
We haven't asked those heart questions that you're talking about. So I think that's going to be really good for us to get in there. But Eric, we got to find out where we can reach you. Want to know where you are with the Emmett Till thing and all that stuff. So.
Well, what I'm doing now is I'm going to, as soon as I wrap up this book, I'm going to get back to the Emmett Till documentary and the book, because August 28th commemorates Emmett's birth, his death.
Yes.
And August 28th, that's a significant date because in 1963, Dr. King spoke on that day in D.C. at the I Have a Dream.
I Have a Dream.
That was the same day?
August 28th, 1963.
But it was the same day.
Yeah. Emmett Till died August 28th, 1955. Barack Obama, you know, he accepted his nomination August 28th, 2009, I believe, or 8, what, not 9.
Wow.
2008. So there's some significant to those days there, August 28th. But also what I would like to do is I have an online virtual museum. It's called TubmanTillMuseum.org, as in Harriet Tubman, TubmanTillMuseum.org. And if you go there, you'll get a chance to see some of the pictures with Mrs. Mobley, and also I have a trailer on there. And what my eventual goal, you guys, is I want to create an actual physical museum inspired by, it'll be more of a gallery, but inspired by all these pictures and the stories that I have of Mrs. Mobley.
Okay.
And then, of course, as we learned recently here this past week, that Carolyn Donham, you know, people are still on the FBI's case about arresting her for making that false report. And she's 86 years old.
She's on her. We just read something where she's saying that Emmett Till
came into the store and
laid hands, and then she said she told her husband when they brought him over that wasn't the right person. I don't know. She's totally
yeah. Well, there's a lot of conflicting reports regarding her, and so there was an arrest warrant that was never executed because at the time the people who were supposed to execute it said that, oh, she's a mother and a kid, you know, mother of children, and it would be wrong for us to arrest her because, you know, what would happen to her kids? The same questions that they never ask about Black mothers and children. So, so the family is still, you know, looking for justice, and she's the last of the perpetrators. Now, one of the cousins, his name is Wheeler Parker, Reverend Wheeler Parker, out of Chicago. I was with him in June because he and some of the other relatives came here for a press event for the Women of the Movement regarding the Emmett Till movie that ran as a 3-part series. And so I had a chance to chat with him. We exchanged numbers, and I text him from time to time. And but they are still hopeful that even if she just got, you know, indicted and served, you know, a week in jail, at least somebody, because the other two never got arrested.
I don't think.
And the case was over in less than an hour, and they said the only reason it went an hour is because they took a Coke break, but they had the verdict even before then, and there was no way that they were going to indict, you know, white guys for killing a Black person in Mississippi at that time.
People are asking, can you pin it? I don't know what they mean by that. I've had more than one person on the line ask.
A comment. Can you put a comment and pin it? Maybe that's what they asked me. A comment, some information that they want us to pin on here. Or maybe we can
okay.
We can put it on the. I'm not sure how to pin it right now, but I think that's what they're talking about.
Okay, so we can put it in our comment file too.
Right.
So so when we rerun, we can put it in the comment file as well.
Right. Yes.
Well, what I'm doing now is I'm posting TubmanTillMuseum.org if they would like to see the virtual museum. But like I said, that's what my goal is to make it a Black History museum, but Emmett Till, Mrs. Mamie Till Mobley, and Harriet Tubman, who's my all-time favorite hero, they will be the central figures, but it's going to also entail other significant things that, you know, that we have done. We are so much more than what
inventors. So that was
that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah. I heard that was really good.
Yeah, we've done so much, you know, in this country to the point where, and a lot of our inventions were stolen because we didn't have a right to have inventions.
See.
You know, then just even including stuff like Jack Daniel, you know, that the Jack Daniel drink, you know, there's a distiller by the name of Nearest Green. Now they have Nearest Green vodka out.
Yes.
And of course, you know, his daughter is she was Frank Wilson's daughter, was her dad. But she's the owner of Nearest Green vodka.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to have them on.
We
Frank
talked
Wilson,
about that.
and she has a spirits company now.
Yeah, you should have her on.
Yeah.
And she's out of Tennessee. But Nearest Green was the guy who taught Jack Daniel how to distill. And the owner of the distillery said that Jack Daniel was the best. I mean, Nearest Green was the best distiller that he'd ever seen. But nevertheless, it was Jack who got the recipe. And it is his family who has made millions for the ages. And then finally, the Nearest Green story came out. And I've had communication with Frank's daughter, and I knew Frank personally.
Yeah,
you
we were
talked
very
about
good friends
that,
with Frank, and Frank,
yes.
of course, was a champion in the gospel music
Motown, yeah.
as
Great
well as being
guy,
with
good
Motown. Yeah. Well, gosh, we have had so much fun.
Oh, this is good. Chris,
You're
this
gonna
is really
have to
fast.
come back on, and this
Okay.
books has been exciting
The
as
museum,
well.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
the
gonna be great.
museum and all of that, and we'll be putting excerpts on. We did while you're here. Many of you may or may not know that Claude's sister was kidnapped in Haiti,
Yes.
and some people are asking for an update
Well,
on that. So
currently, we just actually continue to pray. They're still negotiating the prices, the ransom amount. They've asked for a significant amount, and so that's still being negotiated. Has not been released. We're trying to get different people of prominence involved at this.
Okay.
And so we'll continue to work this thing, and hopefully we'll get a satisfactory result. It's really bad in Haiti now in terms of kidnappings. It's
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, certainly, I saw that on one of your videos early before we went on about your sister. So I'm certainly in prayer for her safety.
Yes.
And that the people would do the right thing and release her, without a ransom, and just do the right thing,
we're all praying,
Well,
and
thank you.
you guys are praying as well.
That's Greta Latayat Roy. Greta Latayat Roy.
Okay.
And we're the Latayads with Edwin Mack, and we have been talking to Eric Dr. Eric Chambers. Thank you, Eric, so much. We've really enjoyed.
Thank you. And say hi to Leslie for me. Even before I met you, Leslie was my conduit person, and I know she's a chef and all of that stuff.
That's right.
And so we used to have long conversations, me and your sister Leslie, about her cooking culinary skills.
That thing about dinners with
Dining with the Ancestors.
With the ancestors, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my other book here that I wrote here called Dining with the Ancestors, where I interviewed a bunch of celebrities and I asked if they could dine with anyone from history, who would it be?
Oh, man.
And what would the conversation consist of? And then the last one, this is another book that I wrote about my daughter. So I've got 4 books that I've done, and I've got about 7 or 8 more that I'm hopeful of getting out by Christmas. So,
Excellent.
I'm in my zone right now. And when you get in that zone, you just...
Yeah, I'm trying.
Huh?
A book. I'm working on a book myself, so.
So you're in the zone to get 7 out. We're trying to get one
out.
Well, I say that story simply because I want people to be inspired that if I can crank out this many, surely. And then I got another one that's I think people really gonna love. In addition to the journals, it's called Stop Shacking with Your Vision and Marry It. Because there's a lot of people who've been shacking with their visions. But that's going to be in the fall. So just to inspire people, because as I tell people, I married my vision as a child, and you got a lot of people who've been shacking with theirs, but you got to go ahead and put a ring on it and marry it. And when you do that.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody. And we're definitely going to have you on again. We've got so much to talk about. I want to talk more about history makers and inventions. That would be great.
Okay.
Everybody, Dad, you want to say bye?
Yes, I really enjoyed what you had to say. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it. And hopefully I can get in touch with you again and see some of the other fine things that you're doing.
Amen.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to finally meet you as well, and of course, Dr. Vicky and Dr. to be Claude there. We appreciate what you guys have done for, just like I said, just for the landscape of the gospel music industry. And your story needs to be told, and because we all have a story, but you guys have an amazing one about the money that you borrowed from your father-in-law, from your dad. Okay, that's the man you borrowed it from. That was the seed money. Okay. But you know what? When I was going through, things really turned around for me during the pandemic, but I would always think about that story because I was like, man, on many occasions, I was like, because that's what I needed, was someone to do the same thing like your dad did, and I couldn't find it. But fortunately, my help came because of the pandemic.
Oh,
In the middle of the pandemic. But nevertheless, I was like, man, if I could get someone just like Vicky had
Oh,
that would invest in my vision,
yeah.
just like what you did with Gospel Centric and Be Right and all the other things that you've done. And that's what I want to encourage people to invest in people, not just stuff.
yes.
People like to invest in cars and houses and Bitcoin, but I double dare them to invest in people and people who have a vision. And they're one yes away from going from the outhouse to the penthouse with the vision.
That's right. Dad, you want to say something?
Yeah, there's something that I wanted to bring up, and I didn't think this was the proper time to bring it up. But one of your questions you were asking was what do you think you've done that you really appreciate? And I was given a scholarship to go to school, and in 2021, I was able to give a scholarship to a person at the college.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, he established a scholarship
Yeah,
for athletes at Cal Poly.
yeah. He went to Cal Poly. He was one of the first blacks to go to Cal Poly, and the first person to win a championship in any sport for Cal Poly.
For Cal Poly.
Really? Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo?
Yes. And so now,
Okay, fantastic.
This was back in the late 40s.
late 40s, yeah.
Wow. Did you ever meet Jackie Robinson, or did you ever see him?
I never met Jackie Robinson, but Jackie Robinson was always my idol.
Right.
Yeah, because
That's awesome.
Jackie Robinson held the scholastic, the record for junior colleges in the long jump, and he was my idol. And all through the time he was at UCLA, I never knew he played baseball. I knew I knew he was a track man, and he played basketball. He was a real football star at UCLA back in 1939, and he was really my hero. But I didn't know he played baseball until 1947 when he came up with the Dodgers.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, you can.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
But see, all of that stuff is also history for books like mine and for what you guys are talking about, because those are some significant events that happened in their lifetime, in his lifetime,
Yeah.
and long before me. But at the same time, it's great that we still have people around who can share that story. Jackie's gone.
That's right. That's right.
And in fact, ironically, like this book here, Dining with the Ancestors, When Heroes Come to Dinner, I got the subtitle of this, and I told him, my man James from Grey's Anatomy, when he played in the movie Jackie Robinson, when Jackie had to go over to black people's homes in Florida because they would not allow him to stay at the hotel. And so James Pickens Jr., his character said, Jackie Robinson, When Heroes Come to Dinner. And that's where I got When Heroes Come to Dinner. I like that second.
Isn't that something?
And I told James that story,
Yeah.
but that's what happened back in the day where you had someone as phenomenal as him.
Yeah.
And even you heard the story of people like Ella Fitzgerald and Marian Anderson, who could not, go to specific hotels and stuff like that.
That was a lot. All of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they had other white people, whether it be Einstein or what's her name, Marilyn Monroe, people like that who came to their defense. So I thank God for all of those people who were brave enough to reach out and help our people.
Yes.
But nevertheless, this is why we have to have people like your dad tell their story while the blood is running warm, record it, and so that you can pass it on for the ages. Because I want my story to be more than when they look at Ancestry.com, it says from December 10th, 1962 until such and such.
Right.
But I've already cemented that because you can Google me and I pop up like Easter lilies. But there's a lot of people who don't and who don't want to take pictures and all that stuff. So mine has been documented. If I never do another thing,
That's
you know. But as long as I'm here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue to encourage our people, because you know, when we tell these stories, they're also there to encourage others that if I could make it, and if your dad could make it, coming what you know through what he had to go through,
yeah.
you know, part of the Great Depression there,
Yes.
you know, and I think that ended like in 34, and having to deal with all of the racial issues.
1939, they were coming out of the Depression with World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because of World War II, then we were coming out, but we really broke out because we had to service the Army and the Navy. So productions went up and people, black people were working on the shipyards and this kind of stuff, you know. So,
Well, we owe a debt of gratitude, you know, and that's the reason why, one of the reasons also that I do what I do. You know, I'm blessed that with my radio show, I can go into homes all over the country without having to go in through their window.
yeah.
You know, I go in through their radio and what have you.
Yeah.
And so, and I just wish that more of our young people and the people who are committing crimes on the streets all over this nation will stop for a moment and realize the people who sacrifice so that you can have a much greater life, and you're blowing it. Why?
That's a whole nother conversation.
I know it.
I
know it.
Back at you, and thank you so much. And we'll talk about all of those subjects next time, because that would be a whole nother hour. But thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all, and thank you all to the viewers who tuned in. And I see several of my friends have tuned in, and others. So, but I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, and look forward to seeing you all again soon here in Southern Cal.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hello.
What's
Thank
up?
you so much for watching Carfitable
Yes,
Talks.
thank you.
Please remember to press that like button, and we need you to subscribe. And also,
Leave some comments. Really need to hear from you.
thank you.